Hope you've enjoyed using your Windows brand computer with your Windows operating system on your laptop or desktop, because the fight to get people to switch over to Windows 11 is still raging on. However, Windows 11 has continued to prove to itself, and everybody around it, that it sucks. And it breaks, and it's breaking down. Windows 11 performs worse than older Windows versions in nearly every single benchmark. Every single benchmark. Do you miss Windows XP? Do you miss your Windows computer when it worked? Do you miss Windows 10 when they were still supporting it? Hi everybody, this is ZeroEchoZenith. I'm going to talk a bit about Windows 11 and Linux. I'm championing Linux right now because, everything is hitting the fan. Facepalm. Microsoft markets Windows 11 as the fastest and most secure version of the operating system. I don't know about that, but users often complain about it being slow, bloated, and buggy. A new speed test now suggests that there may be more truth to those complaints than Microsoft would like to admit. Let's read! YouTuber TriggerZolt ran several tests pitting 6 generations of Windows, from XP to Windows 11, XP my beloved, against one another to see which one can complete a range of tasks the fastest. Surprisingly, Windows 11 came dead last in most of these tests, including boot speed, battery life, app opening speed, you mean software opening speed, and video editing. Wait, video editing too? That's horrible. Yeah, I use Windows 10 with DaVinci Resolve for my video editing needs. Windows 11 also came in last in terms of memory use, taking up much more RAM than older versions of the operating system, even without running any apps on the laptop. Oh my gosh. The additional memory usage can mostly be attributed to the large suite of background services and telemetry that power users have complained about for years. I assume that there's so much telemetry, like data being sent over to Microsoft, that you can't really do anything about. I've always been kind of pissed about the Windows updates as well over the years, how it forces your updates even if you try and shut down the system. I just want to shut the system down, or you can't even stop updates, you can only pause updates up to 32 days or whatever, and it's like, The newest version of Windows also took the longest time to open File Explorer and Paint? While the new Paint app has many additional features that could explain its poor performance on older hardware, File Explorer's sluggishness has been a constant source of frustration for Windows 11 users. It remains painfully slow despite using twice as much RAM as its Windows 10 counterpart. Twice as much RAM? Is that why they're pushing for people to get more RAM? But no one can even get RAM because no one can afford RAM. You should check out my previous news article about that. Okay.
Back at it again. Today we'll be speed testing every generation of Windows released since 2001. This includes Windows XP, Vista, 7, 8.1, 10, and of course the newcomer Windows 11. Every operating system here has the links. You can see that it's actually struggling to load the taskbar right now.
Oh my
Windows
gosh!
11 is running on unsupported hardware here, just so everyone. Storage, keeping access storage.
Oh wow, okay, so Windows 7 took up the most storage.
A bunch here. Windows
How
Vista,
about memory?
Windows XP takes up the least amount of RAM with a large jump when moving to Windows Vista, almost twice the amount of
3.3 gigs of RAM, and that's just
and then a 1
sitting
gigabyte
naturally.
Jump to Windows 10, and then another gigabyte jump in Windows 11.
That's horrible.
Score of 50 tabs, because practically speaking, this is a bit unacceptable to use beyond 50 tabs. Windows 11, on the other hand, despite it not having this issue, is so high on memory utilization that it doesn't even hit 50 tabs to begin with. This is the consequence we see with it using about 3.3 gigabytes of memory just from idle usage. Next, let's move on to battery life.
I sometimes go over 50 tabs when I'm researching things. Okay.
Massive consumption of memory. There was almost a 1 gigabyte difference in memory consumption between Windows 10 and 11. While that might not seem like a lot,
alright, you get the picture. On the bright side, Windows 11 managed relatively better results in some benchmarks, such as file transfer speed and disk space usage comparison for default apps, yes. The latest OS also came third in one of the page loading tests, but surprisingly, it was the slowest to load Google's homepage. Really? Which is optimized to load blazingly fast on just about any device. That's terrible! In case you're wondering, all 6 laptops used in the tests were the exact same model, the Lenovo ThinkPad X220. ThinkPads are liquid gold in the laptop space. If you have a ThinkPad, you're secure for the foreseeable future. They're so reliable. equipped with an Intel Core, 8 gigs of RAM, okay, and a 256 gigabyte mechanical hard disk. Ooh, the device does not officially support Windows 11, which likely contributed to its poor showing. There's the uncertain part of that experiment, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, it's just whatever. Windows 11 is not doing well. For example, Windows 11 is optimized to boot on SSDs and not legacy mechanical drives, so using the HDD as the boot drive likely resulted in slower boot speed, but HDDs are infinitely more reliable than an SSD, because if an SSD breaks, you effectively brick it and you can't get the information back. You'll have to like leech the information, and there's a good chance that you're not getting most of that info from that drive. If it's dead, it's dead. Blah, blah, blah. Similarly, the latest version of Paint includes relatively advanced editing features like the AI that we saw that require additional memory and fast storage for optimum performance, but the ThinkPad used in the tests offered neither. Still, the tests indicate that Microsoft is struggling to make Windows 11 the lean and fast operating system that many users want it to be. As such, the gimmicky new features, unnecessary background processes, and resource-heavy services are major impediments to the operating system achieving its full performance potential. So, about Linux, did you know that Steam hardware surveys go out every month? We'll look at that in a moment. Linux players on Steam reached an all-time high in December. I wonder why! Gee, this is great. Cool, good to know. More and more people are starting to switch to Linux, folks. Mac is useful, but only for its own specialized use cases in the creative sphere, but not really for gaming, in my opinion. And Microsoft is drowning. They cut support to Windows 10. They're only going to provide, what was it, like 2 to 3 more years of support, but you have to pay a fee. That's cool. That's great. That's amazing. I love that. I love paying a fee. Valve has released the results of its Steam hardware and software survey for December 2025, and they show Linux continuing to gain ground and reaching record highs among the Steam user base. Meanwhile, the share of Windows users is reducing. Yep, nobody wants Windows 11. Unfortunately, Steam does not support Windows XP 7 and 8 anymore, so where are people gonna go, you know? In December 2025, Valve's survey results showed Linux users hitting a market share of 3.58%. Compare that to the 3.20% Linux usage reached in November 2025. I'm very interested to see how the users are going to show up in the next coming 5 months or so. Let's say 3 months. I want to see January, too. I don't know when they do the survey. Like, it's probably by the end of the month, right? Yeah, it's got to be by the end of the month, each month. Interestingly, macOS also saw a small boost of its own, increasing by 0.16 points to reach 2.18% of the user share. Yeah, because you can play games off of Steam on Mac, but people, a lot of developers don't necessarily support it still, even to this day. So you are going to have a lot of patches of what you can and can't play. And that's why I'm like, stick to Windows or start to use Linux. Though a lot of people aren't providing support for Linux either. But that is changing. That is slowly but surely changing. And also you can just do operating system emulation, technically. Meanwhile, Windows took a hit by 0.56 percentage points, now floating at the still monolithic 94.23% of the Steam user share. Within that mix, Windows 10 unsurprisingly saw the biggest drop at 1.55% fewer users. Windows 10 reached end of life in October 2025. That's why. This is literally why, yeah. And Microsoft has been pressuring folks using it to upgrade to Windows 11 ever since, and that's where they saw the drop. Those people are evidently not all taking up Microsoft on its offer, as Windows 11 adoption didn't increase enough to stop Linux and Mac from growing. This also happened after the announcement of Valve's Steam Machine desktop computer, which I guess is supposed to come out, before April? That's going to get pushed back due to delays, due to rising RAM costs, due to the AI development systems. Yeah, which will run the Linux-based Steam OS. And this is probably another reason why Linux is going to boom in adopters. It was making headlines in November. I can only speculate that generated more interest. Here's a visual chart to make understanding the changes a little easier. So this is actually found here. This is off of Steam's hardware and software survey in December. We just go down here, OS version, percentage change. So you have Windows 11, 10, and 7. As you can see, Windows 11, 1% increase of users. Windows 10, 1.5%, unfortunately. And then Windows 7, people are still hanging on to Windows 7. Okay. No change. Mac, still somehow saw people using Steam on Mac. Okay, cool, I guess. And then Linux. Look at this beautiful number. Arch Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Endeavor OS, Fedora, Manjaro, Debian, Fedora, Linux, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, a 0.38% increase from November, but this is still a pretty big number. This is going to grow in the coming months. This is amazing. This is incredible. I want to see more support. I'm going to be probably building a Linux system in the next coming year or two. I want as much support for it as possible. There's so many resources online anyways, so obviously 3.58% is still small. Potatoes compared to Windows' dominance, yes. Still, it's exciting to see a consistent trend of growth. The more the trend continues, the more game and software developers have to pay attention. That's what breaks the chicken or the egg problem that has plagued the Linux desktop world for ages. Without enough people using a Linux desktop, developers have no reason to care to Linux users. This is the cycle that Linux users have gone through in the last 15 years. And that lack of support discourages people from adopting Linux. Like I said earlier, the more people who are using it, the more developers and others in tech industry have to take it seriously as a desktop platform. Let's hope the trend continues into 2026. Maybe with more people going to Linux, people will try and look towards developing more of it. We need to see this hit like 10%. If this can hit 10% in the next year to 5 years, let's say 5 years, people are gonna be like, uh-oh, we should start developing our games for Linux. Like, all of them. Let's at least see what Microsoft has to say for itself. Microsoft building team to eliminate C and C++. Translate code to Rust using AI as Windows 11 adopts Rust. I'm not reading that. Oh, hey, this happened recently. Microsoft silently kills the last way to activate Windows without internet. PC World reports that Microsoft has quietly discontinued telephone activation for Windows 10 and 11, eliminating the last method to activate Windows without an internet connection. Oh, hey, what's this? Okay, back in December, Microsoft scales back AI goals because almost nobody is using Copilot. What was I just talking about? This is off of ET, or Extreme Tech. Microsoft has cut its sales targets for its agentic AI software after struggling to find buyers interested in using it. In some cases, targets have been slashed by up to 50%, suggesting Microsoft overestimated the potential of its new AI tools. Indeed, compared with ChatGPT and Google's Gemini, Copilot is falling behind, raising concerns about Microsoft's substantial AI investment. No one's using it, so they should just get rid of it and stop putting it on everything. So I want to leave you with this. This is what I found. This is amazing. Moe Dog off of X, gaming PC, Kashi OS, Linux. Oh, Kashi. Okay, all right. Now I know Kashi OS is a form of Linux, I guess. That's cool. Squad with easy anti-cheat at max settings. 3-channel Rodecaster Pro 2 audio mix. Local 1440p recording is needed. Streaming PC, Elgato 4K capture card, OBS, 1440p Twitch encoding, Kashi OS, audio routed. We've won! I assume he's also using Linux for this as well, because I believe Linux nowadays can natively support OBS, and it can support Elgato too? That's amazing, look at this. This looks beautiful! How did you do it? Any articles written on that? A lot of stuff I learned through trial and error, raiding Reddit and using ChatGPT. Well, there you go. Everything else, the Kashi OS wiki. Streaming PC is Windows 11. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. But I'm trying to see how to also change that in the future. Still, though, this is amazing. As a performance of Squad on Linux versus Windows, I would say it's comparable, maybe slightly better, but that's just my first impressions. Biggest win is that it feels like normal while playing it, but Windows isn't bothering me. Mic input doesn't reset, no random updates, etc. That's incredible. So this dude is playing Squad on Kashi OS. Yeah, okay, so the takeaway from all of this is that people are finding more ways to have Linux support everything. As many processes and pieces of software as it possibly can, and they're moving away from Windows. They're moving away. I like my Windows 10 system, but I know it's not forever. I'm gonna have to do the research on Linux and figure out how I want to build a new system in the future. But I think people are fed up. Windows 11 is not good. I don't think they're gonna release a new Windows, operating system anytime soon. They're not going to have enough time to fix Windows 11 by the time people fully make switches to either Mac or Linux. So there you go. That's what I wanted to talk about today. This is ZeroEchoZenith signing off. Take care, everybody. If you're using Windows 11, I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to bash it completely and be like, oh, Linux is the best. But with the way how Microsoft is treating it lately, I don't know what they're going to do with it. Try and make the jump to Linux if you can. You're gonna have to do a ton of research and trial and error, but you'll probably not have to deal with Windows 11's ecosystem anymore, which is good. Hang in there and do what you can with what you have.
Wow, it's just like real life, man. What the?